Hi, good morning.
Very good morning.
Difficult to get the video.
अरे कपड़ा सिलेक्शन झालं कपड़ा पाहिना
Hi, good morning, everyone.
गुड मॉर्निंग
Good morning.
Morning, Bhumika.
Warm welcome to you all to this learning class.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Morning,
morning. Please go on mute, everyone. Khushbu, can you mute everyone? Thank you. So, good morning and a warm welcome to this training session. 1 minute. In 2015 with Bangalore and with a very small set of athletes we were training. Now it has scaled up to several cities in India and from 2015 to 2019 we've had several Indian records that we did with the help of guide runners. We trained the visually impaired and so what is a guide runner is basically somebody who is ensuring that visually impaired is safe. They finish their runs in a good way with all the help and support. And there are several guiding techniques that I use, but we will be talking about those in the subsequent sessions. And there will be experts from Run Bionic Performance Clinic, Dr. Ishwar. Then there is United Instride from US, and several experts in India and abroad who will be coming. And what we did in 2020 was we did a huge donation drive which spanned across several cities in India, which was its first one was the shoe drive, where we had about 800 athletes who got shoes which were new or gently used, which we distributed to the athletes in different cities. And apart from that, there was a sports bra donation drive. There was also sports gear, which we provided with the support from some of the best brands in India and abroad. So now moving on, we have the session for today, virtual emergency support guide for visually impaired. We got this kind of a learning session in place because there's a huge pool of volunteers who want to join the mission and be a part of the entire kindness activity that we are doing. So some of the things in 2020 that we have initiated are things like phone buddy to visually impaired for home workouts, for making them work out at home. It's a virtual phone buddy. Then there is a phone buddy for grocery support for fulfilling the needs of people who have gone out of their jobs and they lost their jobs. We want to supply them with the basic essentials. Then there were several elderly who required support in terms of periodically calling them up and checking how they are doing. So there are phone buddies and guides who are calling periodically the elderly and the needy. So those kind of initiatives, and there was a lot of emergency requirement in terms of helping with the medical emergencies in the lockdown and reaching out to people in the containment zones, in sealed areas, in different cities. And the amazing part of it was that we were able to fulfill these requests within a time of 2 to 8 hours, and which is like very amazing speed. And we want to scale this and build a very high performing team. And so today's course, we have initiated the first session, which will also continue for the next 4 to 5 weekends. Every Saturday, we will be spending an hour and there will be a lecture. Then a quiz will follow by email to the participants, and there will be discussion. You can participate, you can put forth your thoughts, and then we can take that up. And every session, there will be a special guest. And today I'm so super excited about having Madhu Singhal, who is the founder of Mitra Jyoti in Bangalore, and a little bit about her. She's the founder of Mitra Jyoti, which is a trust serving people with disabilities in general and those with vision impairment in particular. She started this in the year 1990 with the intention of helping other women with visual impairment with her own life experiences that she gained, and she being a visually impaired by birth herself. She has held various positions such as the chairperson of Women's Committee of the Asian Blind Union, General Secretary for National Federation for the Blind, to name a few. One of the most significant awards that she received was the National Award for Empowerment for Persons with Disabilities, for which she was honored twice, 2008 as the best individual and 2018 as the role model. She has brought light and life to thousands of people carrying her vision. And she's a very good friend of mine. And every time we are stuck with anything and we require advice on certain new things in initiatives that we are doing, she's always there, and she's picks up the phone anytime we call. And we've been working with the kids for a long time now. And I'm so excited to have you, ma'am, today. And over to you, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning, one and all. I'm really excited and pleasured to be with you and give this session about the virtual emergency support for the visually impaired. I would like to say that I want to salute all the guide runners and also the phone buddy and whatnot. Really, it is great that you will take off your time and like a warrior, you will support us in so many ways. So thank you so much with my welcome to all of you. And I am really happy that today all of you are here, and maybe this session will go to so many others also. And whatever my experience from past 30 years, if I could be some help to all of you, it is great. Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, so we have been working with the visually impaired, and I see so many people across cities coming, and it's like an endless. I'm not able to count that. Okay, so now we are not able to gauge the what is the numbers we are dealing with. So, what is the current scenario in India about for visually impaired and blind, and what are the numbers? What is the statistics are we looking at supporting?
Yes, if we talk about the present scenario, the things are going on in a very good way. If I will go back, 60, 70 years back, the visually impaired were not recognized. Nobody can just, be able to recognize them. They were just in front of the temple, maybe begging or just singing. People were just thinking that they can only sing, they cannot do anything. But I am happy to say that now the scenario is they are working, they are in this as a IAS officer, they are working in the company in a very higher position. In the government also, they are in a higher roles and whatnot.
So is the number around 20 million? Are we talking about some kind of a figure?
Yes, that is what I am going to come. That numbers, when we talk about different scenarios are there, different way, different, agencies are talking different things. But the present, we never know how many visually impaired are there. So we just estimate maybe 20 million visually impaired people are there with us. Maybe some of them are totally blind. Maybe some of them are low vision. Maybe some of them are aged blind. All together, really, it can be more or less, but we just count it as a 20 millions.
Okay, so we are looking at different categories of vision impairment. So there is also some confusion about how do we address this set of people? What do we call them?
See, earlier actually everybody was calling as a blind, whether the person can see little bit, they have a light perception, or they could see little bit. But now there are different ways to call them. But according to the WHO or according to the RPD Act 2016, we call it persons with visual impairment. It means that person is not blind or low vision or anything. He has some problem. That is what with visual impairment, person with low vision. So that is what we have to call. Nowadays, the trend is different people will call them differently abled, specially abled, or physically challenged, or different things. But if we will see together, we are visually impaired, we cannot see, or we can see little. So we want to call ourselves person with visual impairment, person with low vision. Thank you.
How about Divyangjan?
In fact, first we were calling in Hindi Vikalang. All the people with disability, there was a word Vikalang.
Right.
Divyangjan was given by our, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. They have called now Divyang. Means ki some Divya Drishti they do have. Some people have objection about it, but okay, it is fine. Nowadays, people do call in Hindi Divyangjan.
In Hindi, it's Divyangjan. So can we call them persons? The broad category is persons with disability, and then we have
Different categories in that: persons with visual impairment, persons with hearing impairment, person with locomotor disability, person with mentally challenged, or different, so on and so forth.
right. So just to summarize, we are saying that we can call visually impaired person as persons with visual impairment and person with low vision,
Yes,
and they fall in the broad category of persons with disability.
exactly.
And Divyangjan is a term which is Hindi, can be used as a Hindi.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, that's nice to know, ma'am. So, what is the kind of visual impairment which is more common that you've seen in India? Like, is there low vision more, or 100% more, or is it not very?
See, the scenario has changed. If we talk about another 20, 30 years, earlier there was a vitamin A deficiency was there, and people are malnutrited, in the rural areas. So most of the people in the, birth time itself, there will be blindness.
Right.
Because of this pregnancy, there is not much of care, not much of nutrition to be given to the mother. So that was the situation. But now the situation has changed. People have reached to the rural areas and they are distributing vitamin A capsules and different things. So now the thing is ki we are seeing, some present years, a lot of people later stage, they will get this type of disability at the age of 13, 14 or later stage. One of the reason we found it RP cases, retinitis pigmentosa. It is a generic problem, generation by generation, it will come.
Yes.
And also nowadays, lot of, natural calamities because of different things, bomb blast or different, things will come. So with that, people will lose their sight. In the Deepavali, every year you will see some faces will be there. The crackers are gone inside the eyes, and a lot of people will become visually impaired.
You're saying there's a spread across all these categories.
Exactly.
Right. So I also wanted to ask you, what are the provisions? What is the new development post-independence that has come into force in India, especially for the visually impaired?
As I told you earlier, that 70, 80 years back, people visually impaired were just counted as a singer, or they will be sitting in front of the temple and begging with some type of singing. In the train, you will see some visually impaired will be a singer only. If a visually impaired was born in the family, they will only think, okay, somebody can teach them music and they can do some music. But now the scenario has totally changed. They can become the engineer, and whatever the others are doing, there is no differentiate between the sighted people and the visually impaired. Whatever people are doing, we can also do. Maybe the via media, some different via media, we will take it. So that is the situation now is happening. And after the independence, lot of methods were followed to make them more comfortable. Braille was developed in a Bharatiya Braille. earlier the Braille was there. The person Louis Braille has invented the Braille in French. Then it has come in English. And India, it has come more better in after 1950. And now we can do the Braille in all the languages, the Indian languages, and we call it Bharatiya Braille. So some of the visually impaired people themselves came forward and they have developed a proper Braille script for the Indian languages. So that has come. Then the one institution has started in Dehradun, National Institute for the Visually Handicapped. Earlier it was called in 1970. But now, according to the terminology, it is NIEPVD, National Institute of Empowerment of Persons with Visual Disability. That is what we do call it, NIEPVD. So this is the one institution, government institution is helping all the visually impaired for their studies, for their education, for their employment, for their different scenarios,
So this was one of the first ones that has been set up.
Exactly.
In Dehradun.
Dehradun.
Which year was that?
Actually, it was started in 1950. Small things, they started a school, they started a Braille center, they started a Braille press. But after 70, it was called the institution.
And so what are the different national level bodies that exist right now?
Yeah. At the moment, this institution is there. Along with that, some NGOs have come forward, some individual activists have come forward to make this world more make this India more meaningful for the visually impaired. So at the moment, 3 national level NGOs are working. That is National Association for the Blind. It has started in Mumbai, but now the branches are all over India. Then National Federation of the Blind, that has started, I think so, in Delhi, and now the different branches are there. And All India Confederation of the Blind, their head office, I think so, in Hyderabad, but all over India, they have their branches, and good work is going on. These 3 NGOs with the government bodies, they have developed a lot of work for the visually impaired. And also, one more thing I would like to say that 1970-80, they have done a lot of dharna pradarshan. They have, brought their voice, big voice of all the visually impaired together. And they made government to think about it, that we need several things. We need law, we need our employment opportunities, we need all our admission in all the educational institute. So that is what they started raising their voice in 70s and 80s. Here I would like to mention some name, those who are our, I can say that leaders. They have come forward and they taught us the way how to go further. In that one, Mr. Lal Advani, he was working with the government, but he really did a wonderful work for the visually impaired. Then Mr. S.K. Runta, Mr. J.L. Kaul, Dr. Rajendra T. Vyas, and there are several other people along with them have come forward, and they have just made this movement and brought this work to this today's scenario.
Right. Okay. So how does the legal system support people with disabilities, with visual impairment?
Yeah, earlier there was no legal system at all. There is no law for the visually impaired. 1980s, everybody said we need some law. Otherwise, where shall we go? We cannot go to the court to demand our rights. We should also have our rights. If everybody has right to work, right to education, everything, so we should also get the same right. So different committees were formed, and with the help of all these things, 1995, our first Disability Act, Equal Opportunity, Protection of Right and Full Participation has come to exist this in India. And in that, we have taken 7 disability that time. And but there are some loopholes in that. And later on, people felt that we need some changes in this act. But at last, it was decided that we have to bring another act. Again, the different committees have started, different NGOs, government bodies work together. And with the efforts of this, now we have a law, RPD Act, Right to Persons with Disability Act. And this act has a very broad outlook for the persons with disability in general and visually impaired in particular. There are 17 chapters in this act. And also, I can say that it will show us, how we can be dignified person as an individual disabled, and also we should get the reasonable accommodation everywhere, either we are for our education, for our training, for our employment. Now nobody can say no to a persons with disability to give them admission in anything. Yeah.
And so, how many disabilities are we talking about get covered in the new act?
Earlier in old act we have 7 disabilities, but the things that have changed, so many things have come now. So we are counting now 21 disabilities. In that, 2 types of things are there. Some disabilities are benchmark disabilities. Some disabilities, they are showing they are disabled. Maybe they are need less things, but some disabilities are benchmark disabilities.
So just to summarize, we had the Disability Act in 1995, which had 7 disabilities, and we had the RPD Act in 2016, which had 17 chapters and 21 disabilities.
Yes.
Yeah. So moving on, so we've since we are doing a lot of volunteering activities, I just wanted your perspective on how does volunteering compare between India and developed countries like the United States?
First of all, I would like to salute all of you. As a volunteers, you people are doing wonderful work, whether it is in India and abroad. But there are certain things, because I have visited a lot of countries during my work. I was also involved with World Blind Union and Asian Blind Union. And also I got chance to attend different type of courses in different places, and whatever I have done, I have learned the things, and according to our country I try to adopt the things accordingly. So I will say that in India also, Mitra Jyoti also always from the beginning depend on the volunteers. We do use a lot of volunteers for reading books, writing examination for the visually impaired and different things. We are using all of you. And I am happy to say that people have really done a tremendous work towards it. But certain things I would like to say that when you are coming to help a visually impaired person, when we take the scenario of India and abroad, in abroad, I found it is quite structured kind of things. If the person is going to volunteer, they know what they have to do. But in India, first of all, we are sincere and we feel that some type of pity to the people, and we want to do something more to the person. But sometimes it will create little problem. So I personally feel that little limitations we should keep when we are doing the volunteering to anyone, and they should know what is their. We should know what is his or her expectation, and accordingly we should work. At the pity kind of things, I think so. We should not work now. People do talk about it. People are going for the writing their examination, and first of all they will read the books and they themselves will write their examination. Some different type of bad things we are listening. So I personally feel that if they need help, we should do it. Without it, we should not extra things miles. We should not go and help. We should be clear about what we are doing it. I don't know. I'm clear about it.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. So you're saying there is good volunteering work which is being done both in across the world. You're saying a lot of volunteering in India, but a little bit of structuring and some kind of professionalism would really
Yes.
help in taking it to the next level. Good, man. So, moving on, just talking about the current scenario, COVID-19 crisis, how does it pose a challenge, especially for the people with visual impairment?
I know it is a very big, I can say that the situation will come, or it has big challenge for all of us, because when you see a visually impaired person, our hands are our eyes. I can say that I always, quote this, that for a visually impaired, hands are very important. When we are talking about, we should not touch, and also the touch. Without touch, we cannot do anything. If you want to show us anything, I will touch and I can be able to find out what exactly it is, right? So it is very, very important. But in this scenario, when we are talking about social distancing, we are talking about the, little bit दूरी रखिए अपने आप को, distance. So in this situation, it will be very difficult. Earlier, a visually impaired will be to catch a bus on the road. Somebody will come to help them. But now the situation has come. The visually impaired person cannot be able to ask himself, he is scared, and person is also scared to help any visually impaired person. So in this situation, it is a great difficulty all the visually impaired people are facing. Secondly, like others, a lot of visually impaired are working in a daily wages. Whatever they are, earning, doing some work in the railways or doing something, daily wages, they will sell something and then create their bread and butter. So for them, it was a very big problem, as Bhumika was just explaining, that a lot of phone buddies they have created, and lot of guide runners and help in different cities to provide them groceries or to help them in a way. Also, their mental, because of this situation, they are very much upset about different things. So definitely they need different type of counseling. So my request is, all of you don't think that we are different people, in a different world. Please try to support a visually impaired person whenever, wherever it is possible.
So, ma'am, Savita has a question. Can you give an example of what is thing which comes under pity, that we're going and maybe we are doing terms of giving, and how can we judge our behavior when we are helping?
You have asked a very good question. Actually, nobody has answer about it. This is up to us to understand. See, so many things, so many times what happened, a person is going to write examination for a visually impaired person, right? We should help in a certain way. Maybe within 3 hours, it is difficult. He will dictate you, the person has to dictate, and the sighted person has to write the examination. So it is difficult. The person will tell you all the spellings and all. Little bit we can help. But nowadays, what is happening? People started buying the sighted people, and preparing them for their scribe and giving them before it, okay, you can read this book and come back and write for me the examination. So I personally feel this type of help, we should not do it. We should tell them clearly, if you are studying for yourself, not for myself, I can write your examination for 3 hours. But later on, whatever you are studying, you have to use it for their bread and butter or whatever it is. So we should tell them in a very polite way and in a very proper way, because without much knowledge, or people will just, from our country, from the beginning, we do have little bit, good scenario towards this. We have a little pity towards all these things. So we feel, okay, we can do it. What is wrong in that? But nowadays, we are together with all of you, working in each and everything. So I personally feel that we should not give them extra help. If they need help, we can give, but we should not go further to help them.
Yeah, so as a part of this learning course, we will be providing you with job aids on how to go about contacting virtually a person with visual impairment. There will be job aids given to you and how frequently we can contact and what is the help that you can offer and not going overboard with it. So we will be doing that in the subsequent sessions. Any questions? Forum is open to questions. You can either keep it on the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
I just sent a question to you, Bhumika.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Pooja.
So I just wanted to understand, ma'am, that your students, Mitra Jyoti ever tried recording the curriculum, which will help them to, study or prepare for their examination, and what was the effect of that if it was used?
Yes, we do record books in audio format as well as in e-text for them, and they will take books from us, and at home they will read. We will also provide them some kind of, like recorder or some help to listen all this material, some hardware to them, and also we will teach them computer. So nowadays all the books, most of the books are available there in computer also. They are doing it. Some of the students are going to the college also. Some volunteers will come, and according to their need, they will try to give them lessons also after, like you are doing for your own children, the homework. So they will try to give them, make them prepare for their homework also. So it is not difficult as you are doing for any child. You can do it for the visually impaired people also, and prepare them for their examination.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Any
Thanks,
other
ma'am.
questions? All right. So one final question to ma'am. What is your advice to people who are new now coming on board as guides or buddies? Any final advice that you have?
Yes, again, I will say, I will salute all of you, and I want more and more people should come forward to take up this as a guide runners. Our people, Mitra Jyoti has participated so many times in marathons, and they have a very good experience, working with you when they will run with you. So it is not difficult, and I want more and more people should come. And I personally feel, I always tell everyone, suppose we are spending a lot of time for ourselves, our family, whatever it is, but in a day, if we can just take out half an hour and help someone, it is really great. And I personally feel that it will give us a lot of satisfaction for our future reference.
So there is a question. There is Karishma who says that my phone buddy is very friendly. So yes, Karishma is a phone buddy guide, and virtually she talks to a visually impaired athlete. Karishma is in Bangalore and the athlete is in Mumbai. And Karishma, can you unmute yourself and tell us a few things about that?
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Good
My
morning.
phone buddy is a very friendly girl, and every morning I wish her good morning. And if she's busy, she'll answer, but definitely she answers. And sometimes when I do not message, she messages back. आज मैंने walking किया, आज मैंने yoga किया, आज मैंने ये cooking किया. So very happy to connect with her. It gives really immense gratitude that all of y'all are doing this, and we are a small part of it. Thank you, Bhumika. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Karishma.
I would like to say that when you're working with visually impaired and any persons with disability, don't think that we are different. We are also like all of you. We can also become your good friend and can
Yes.
participate in talking in each and everything. Whatever in daily chores, we can be able to do that. So don't keep any extra this thing that visually impaired are different or anything. We are also like you.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, Karishma. We have a question from Sam. Can we do counseling on the phone to visually impaired? So, just to a little bit about that, we in the subsequent sessions we'll have Run Bionic Performance Clinics, Dr. Ishwar, who is a sports doctor, and he's going to be covering these topics about mental health and how do we talk to the BI that has been assigned to us, and how we can then forward it to a medical practitioner. I hope that answers that. If you have any further question on that, Sam, just ask here. And we also have a question from Rupa from Surat. Yes, so we see a lot of job related queries. So she's asking, where can we get job updates for visually impaired, as my VI is looking for a job and I'm not able to get it, as I'm really new and I want to really help them.
See, I'll tell you, from the government side, now there is a quota, 4% quota for persons with disabilities, and especially for 1% are there for the visually impaired and low vision. So whatever jobs are coming from the government side, you could be able to see that this many jobs are for the persons with disability, or this many jobs are for the low vision, blind, or whatever it will be. So accordingly, you help them to fill up the forms. There are jobs in railways, there are jobs in bank, there are jobs in different government offices. And when you're talking about private agencies, the organization like Mitra Jyoti, and there will be in Surat also. Is she from Surat?
She's from Surat, yes.
In Surat also some organization will be there. You can just email to some organization. We could be able to help you, to connect with you, some organization, and help you how you could be able to help that person. And also, I would like to say that if you know any visually impaired person and you feel that person is good in working, in our own, scenario, in our own, setup, in our own family members or relations or friends and whatever it is, we can spread this message. Please try this person. And I always, whenever I go for any job for the visually impaired, I will say, okay, try them for a month or so. If you are comfortable, you take them. If you are not comfortable, you please tell them that we could not be able to do that. So they can do all the jobs. And I personally feel that we should not take just the sake of giving them job. If we are taking them, give them work, and they should do the work they can do. We ourselves can be able to start talking to the people about their job requirement.
So any such requests that come, we put it to the team, our volunteers, our guide team, and then we will direct you to the right sources. So if any such thing comes up, just put it to us, and we will then help you with the correct contacts and the links. So there is Kirtana from Ahmedabad, and she has yes. Kirtana, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi. I have two questions. One was like you talked about structured volunteering. So, is there any material where we can refer to how structured a volunteering support can be so that we can use it with our own volunteers and guides? And also, I have another question. Like, we have a runner here in Ahmedabad. She has a lot of potential. Bhumika also knows her, but then she's having a lot of restriction from her family. In the sense they're asking her to finish her studies in Ahmedabad and not pursue in running, whereas she's interested in running. So when we get these kind of cases, like we cannot guarantee anything or any position or any kind of direct support, but how do we help these kind of individuals who come to us?
Shall I answer?
Yes.
When you are talking about this structured kind of things, I think so some material is there. If you will see in the YouTube.
Yeah, about structured, ma'am, I'll take that question on structured monitoring.
Volunteering.
So, Keetana, we're going to be having subsequent sessions where we will have templates and links all available in one place where we can access information, and so job aids will be there, templates, so that we structure this process of one of the things that we do is if a buddy that is helping with home workouts, what is it that in the first call that what are the things I will talk to visually impaired, what is it the current fitness level, what is their strength, the current existing strength assessment, what can we what are the things that we can note on the phone, and then we can plan subsequent sessions which are on a WebEx and things. So those kind of templates we are working on. It's part of the upcoming sessions, so you will know about that. And ma'am, you can talk about the next one, what she's talking about.
See, this type of things, little bit counseling can be done. If somebody is doing the work for the visually impaired and family is not ready to send and all, so that can be only possible with some counseling, talking to the family. It is not a kind of a structure kind of things, I think so. We ourselves can prepare them.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
this is quite common
Yes.
scenario, ma'am, where family does not support and but the
Maybe time and again they could be able to understand. And
but I've seen other way also that people are a lot of women who are visually impaired, they are encouraged by family themselves. They really appreciate it. So these cases which are where the family is not interested is kind of rare. But we will have to find out a way of convincing the family members. So we need to take their consent before we do anything with the athletes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a consent form which we sign with the athlete. Somebody who is also we have different age groups starting from 17, 18 years and above, and going up to 80 years of age, 75, 80 years. So we have once they want to enroll with us, we have a consent form. They sign the consent form, and the parents have agreed, and then we take over with the other things. So the parent consent is quite required here. Any other questions? What would be the right way to approach and make them feel comfortable?
I can say that you can just talk to them. Maybe you cannot talk eye to eye, but you just talk to them as you are talking to the person, not through someone else. You can just, when you are meeting a visually impaired person, he cannot see you, but you can see the person. You can address, okay, hi, I am so and so. I would like to talk to you. I want to ask you this question or whatever it is. So you start talking, then they will also come to talk to you. You talk directly to the person.
So just to add to what ma'am said, the people that we are talking to right now, about 800 visually impaired, we know them, we have run with them. So before the lockdown happened and things, we were having regular sessions every weekend, and so we used to track their attendance, and we have given away the best care to them. So these are people who we already have interacted. We know whether they are a national level athlete, whether they are just beginning and they just want to be fit, or they just want to be out there on a Saturday morning. So we know what is it that the person wants. So who the people who we are going to contact will not be very new people. Most of them will not be, but there is always new set of people enrolling. So in those scenarios, we will still have to find out a few things about what they have been doing earlier. But yeah, so the numbers, the contacts that you will be getting will be known set of people. Yeah. So Varsha had a question about what can we do other than exercise and guiding them. What kind of help can you do as a guide? So please elaborate. So just I'll take that, ma'am. So the guide runner terminology, which is internationally used, this is for some person who helps visual person with visual impairment to finish a run, to train with them, to help them finish, be safe throughout, and ensure that everything is fine, and then they hand them over to somebody to the right place where it is safe, and or a family member comes and takes over. But basically, you are throughout with the person. You train with them, you run with them, you go for enroll for an event with them. So that was a guide runner concept that we initially started with. Then we figured out in the Indian scenario, the visually impaired that we are talking about come from varied backgrounds. So if there is somebody from a slum in Mumbai, say somebody coming from a village in Pune or Bangalore, we're talking about different backgrounds. We are talking about some basic needs which are not in place, and that's why the guides, we have this new set of guides who apart from some guides are helping with fitness, some guides are helping with counseling. Dr. Ishwar will cover that in the next session about if you want to do, if they are feeling depressed about not getting back to a city, they are still in the village, they are in the lockdown, they are still in the village, and they don't know what else to do. So we will talk to them, and see, find them alternatives. There's an online course which can be done. There is a running related or a yoga related, fitness related course you can do, or it can be something like a technology related aspect. And so some of the guides who are there are currently also helping with online courses to help them enroll into it and find out if the course is accessibility enabled, is friendly for visually impaired, and so they are helping them with their education also. So those are some of the things that have come up, which we did not know that we would get into. But yes, we are doing that now virtually. And earlier we were doing a lot of this through workshops by meeting them personally, but we are doing it now virtually. So virtually, there is a lot of things you can do. Yeah.
I also would like to say that when you are meeting your, buddies or whatever it is, tell them how important it is to think about this running and exercise and different things, because it is very important, because movements are less for the visually impaired. They cannot go out or kind of things. If you are helping, please give them this direction that how important it is to think about their health.
So Sam has a further question about what are the different courses that VI can do. Ma'am, so Mr. Jyoti has been doing a lot of courses.
Actually, first of all, their education to be proper. There are some special schools. There are nowadays they can go to any school. No school can say no to them. They have to arrange the special person, resource person, to help them for the extra things. So after schooling, some trainings are definitely required, especially the computer. without computer, it is very difficult for a visually impaired now to do anything. With the computer, they can read books, they can do different things. After computer has come in India, this JAWS, the screen reading software, JAWS and NVDA, lot of people have got the employment opportunity because of this scenario. So I will say that computer is very much important. Lot of NGOs are running lot of computer courses like Mitra Jyoti in Bangalore, and there are so many others also running. So wherever it is possible, try to see to it that they should do the computer. Along with that, some of them may be interested in the handwork kind of things. They want to become a teacher, they want to become a lecturer. So according to the interest, as we are seeing in each child, what is their interest, accordingly they can go further. Nowadays, we are developing the maths and science books also. So some of the things very rare, but they have gone to engineering also. Different people have done the engineering also. So whatever is there, like others, we can also do the different things.
All right, I hope a lot of your questions have been answered. So, yeah, anyone who has a question? Any more questions? So I think we are just completing our 1 hour, which was planned for the session, and we will have more sessions and more people who we are going to talk to in the upcoming sessions. So look forward to a mail. People who have registered will get a mail for the next session, which is coming up on the next Saturday at the same time. And there will be a quiz which will follow based on whatever we discuss. So don't worry, it's not a tough one, but try to attempt it. And if you think that you've missed out on some of the concepts, there is a recording it will be sent to you, so you can go over the entire thing again and then answer the questions. And thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you, ma'am, for coming and spending your valuable time with us.
Thank you so much, and it was nice to interact with you. And I hope we all together will change this world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.